What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web war fanatic, and we are here with my Wonderman review from the Civil War wave. And I'm gonna do this one a little bit differently here. So we're gonna start off with how fun I think the hero is, because for my Hercules review, I kind of left that for the end, and then I feel I didn't talk enough about it. So I do want to just emphasize, if I like the hero first, and then we'll get into the power rankings and how I evaluate the heroes and how strong I think they are in Marvel Champions. So let's go ahead and just get started here. We'll talk a little bit about Wonderman, how his kit works, and then I'll go over why I think he's fun or not fun. So we're here on Hall of Heroes, and Wonderman is a 2 Thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense hero, 5 card hand sets in hero form, 6 card hand sets in alter ego, and then 12 hit points. And his alter ego is Simon Williams with the recovery. The main mechanic that Wonderman has is that he begins the game with the ionic physiology. It's put into play, and this is his permanent setup upgrade right here. So it can never be removed from the game, and there can be a max of 3 cards tucked underneath this card. As a response, after you play any event with a printed energy resource icon, so like active altruism right here is one of his own events, has that printed energy right there. So after you do that, you can tuck that event from your discard pile underneath this card and heal 1 damage from your identity. I do want to clarify that there has been errata to how this works, and basically before the errata, you were not able to tuck an event underneath this card if you could not heal. So for example, if you're at 12 life out of 12 life, then you cannot heal. So then you can't do it because you don't have a valid target for the stuff before and after the cost arrow. But that has been errata, and they've changed this cost arrow here to a then. So, a lot of people probably don't care about that, but basically, even if you're at full life, you're able to trigger this ability. So if you play an event like the active altruism, which has that printed energy resource icon, you can always tuck it underneath the ionic physiology, even if you're at full life and you can't heal damage. You can always just tuck cards after you play them. And they have that printed energy resource. So, yeah, that's Wonderman's main mechanic here. He has another mechanic with this deck building ability here called the Ionic Energy Being. You may include events with the printed energy resource icon from any aspect in your deck. So even if you declare like the aggression aspect, you can still include, protection cards, justice cards, and leadership cards as long as they have that printed energy resource icon. So yeah, that gives them a lot of versatility whenever you're deck building with them. And then his final mechanic here is really going to revolve around overpaying for cards. So if we look at the store event here, it's a 0 cost store event, and you just remove 1 threat from a scheme. That's very simple. But you can remove 2 additional threat from the scheme for each energy that you overpay for this card. So if you pay for this card, with 1 energy resource, then you're overpaying, for 1. So you can remove 2 plus 1, so 3 threat from a scheme. If you overpay, 2 energies for this card, then you can take off 5 there from a scheme, right? So this works like that. The Ionic Blast, similar thing. Do 3 damage to enemies. So you pay 1 cost for this, it does 3 damage. And then if you pay with an additional energy to overpay, you can do 2 additional damage for each overpay. Starstruck, another similar thing here. Do damage to enemy equal to your attack, so it's 1 cost. But if you overpay for this card with the energy, you can also stun that enemy. And if you guys don't know how overpaying works, you can declare which resources is going towards what, right? So you have like 1 mental resource and 1 energy resource. You can say that the mental resource is being used to pay for the cost of the card, and your energy resource is being used to overpay for the card. So even if you don't have, all energies, you can still always get the kicker as long as you have 1 energy to overpay for it. And he has Mr. Hollywood here, which is his main upgrade, 1 cost upgrade. As a resource, you can generate an energy resource to overpay for any card, limit once per card. And this is a lot different from a lot of other resource generators because it does not exhaust, and it's not limited to once per phase or once per round, right? It's limited to once per card. So theoretically, if you play 3 cards, you can use this card to overpay for energy, 3 times in a single phase, right? So for example, if you have all 3 copies of your active altruism right here, right? And you play all 3 of them in one single turn, you can overpay with that Mr. Hollywood every single time that you play one, right? So that's crazy because it's a 0 cost door event, right? You play the active altruism and you can remove 1 plus 2 because you're overpaying for free with that Mr. Hollywood. So it's 0 cost to do 3 threat removal. You play another one, 0 cost, 3 threat removal. You play another one, 0 cost, 3 threat removal. That's pretty crazy. So Wonderman really, really wants to get Mr. Hollywood out, and he basically needs to get this card out every single game that you're playing with him. It is like an essential card to unlock his kit. Yeah, and in hero form here, Wonderman has his power recycling ability here, where he gets +1 attack for each card tucked under the Ionic Physiology. So he can get up to a max of 4 attack with his hero ability, because you have a max of 3 cards tucked here, so 1 plus 3 is 4. And as a 4 spots, after Wonderman makes a basic attack, you discard each card tucked under the Ionic Physiology. It's forced, so you have to trigger that. So every single time you exhaust to make a basic attack, you discard all those tuck cards. If you play an attack event like the Ionic Blast or Starstruck, you do not have to discard those cards. It's only from whenever you make a basic attack, not playing attack events or like using upgrades and stuff to do damage, even if it is attack damage. Only basic attacks will cause you to discard everything. All right, so that's basically how Wonderman's kit works. And what do I think about this hero? So whenever this hero was first announced, I don't really know anything about Wonderman, like in the comics or anything like that. So I was just like, okay, I don't know anything about the character, but his mechanic looked crazy with the overpaying, particularly because of Mr. Hollywood. And I love cards like this that I don't need to exhaust to use their ability. So you can use it like an unlimited amount of times in a turn. So cards like this just get so much value in the late game because when you have more economy set up on the table, you can play a lot of cards. So theoretically, if Wonderman plays, all 3 Starstrucks, both Ionic Blast, and 3 active altruism in one turn, you get to use Mr. Hollywood to generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 overpaid resources there, which is pretty bonkers, right? So you want to get a lot of value out of that. And I just love economy heroes like that. So I was very excited to play him. And a deck that I brewed for him that I was working on is an aggression deck working off his ability here called Power Recycling. And basically, it's where Wonderman gets +1 attack for each card tucked under him. And I wanted to just build out his attack stat. And here's the deck right here. It's called Brute Force Superman. And basically, it really combos with Brute Force is an aggression card from Quicksilver's hero pack. 1 cost upgrade, so you just play this on table, and your hero gets +1 attack. Your basic attack gain piercing. And as a force response after you make a basic attack, discard Brute Force. So you must trigger this response after you make a basic attack. Well, you guys probably realize this is very similar to Wonderman's hero ability. Whenever you make a basic attack, discard each tuck card under the Ionic Physiology. So Wonderman can really build his attack stat really high, but then use stuff like attack events. And Starstruck here is an even better attack event because you do damage to enemy equal to your attack. So you build your attack out. You get 4 attack here. You play 3 copies of the Brute Force, so you get 3 more attack. So you go up to 7 attack. Then whenever you play this 1 cost event, the Starstruck, you do 7 damage to enemy because your attack is 7. So that's just crazy, and that was what I really wanted to build with Wonderman. But, I did think that this deck was fun for like that big final push, but I found myself a lot more restricted when I was playing the deck because Wonderman wasn't able to, just lean into his hero ability as much and power recycle, basically just attacking, discarding our attack cards, and then adding more attack cards to get more healing, right? When you're playing this way, you usually don't get as much healing from Wonderman from like this effect right here, and you're generally tucking less cards because you just want to hold on to the cards that are tucked to keep your attack stat high for the effects of like, the Brute Force here, for the effects of, Starstruck, where you can do damage equal to your attack, and also for a new card that we got to see, which is Unified Strike. Let's look at it here on Hall of Heroes. So Unified Strike, when an ally uses a basic power, you can exhaust your hero, add your hero's matching power to that ally's power for the use, and the ally does not take constant damage for this use. So this card I really enjoy because you can add Wonderman's attack of like 7, 8, or 9 to an ally. Wonderman never a basic attack, so you don't have to discard all those tuck cards or discard the Brute Force, and you give an ally, plus potentially 9 attack. And if you have an ally like Two Gun Kid, for example, whenever he makes a base attack, you choose 2 enemies instead of 1 and resolve his attack against each of them. So he gets +9 attack. He's swinging for 11 at 2 different enemies. That is super fun. And same here for Thor. He can swing at every single minion, right? You can resolve the attack against each minion engaged with the player if you spend an energy resource whenever Thor attacks. So Thor can attack like potentially like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minions, all doing 3 plus 9, so 11 damage to each one. That's like over 100 damage with just 1 attack. So yeah, that was the main strategy with this deck. But when I actually played the deck, I did not enjoy Wonderman nearly as much as I thought I would, and I also did not enjoy his precon as much as I thought I would. I did enjoy playing him, but I felt, just a little bit like I wasn't maximizing his kit, and I feel like there's a lot of room that I could have healed that I wasn't taking advantage of with the Ionic Physiology's response here. And I also felt like I was kind of restricted because I wasn't using that basic attack, right? I couldn't just, attack whenever I wanted to. There's easily ways to play around it, right? All you gotta do is play allies, and your allies can attack for you, and you can just play your attack events instead. But not being able to, just unleash whenever you wanted to and feeling restricted in that way wasn't the most fun thing to me. I know a lot of players don't care about that, but for me, whenever I'm playing Marvel Champions, I love flexibility and versatility. And I want to be able to do whatever I want on any given turn. I want to be able to, take care of this on the board, take care of this on the board, or like do damage if I wanted to, right? I just like having flexibility and not feeling like constricted in how I'm playing. So these builds didn't necessarily make me have the most enjoyment playing Wonderman. And that's whenever I build this deck here called Free Energy. And yeah, this deck has a bunch of events here. So we have, 3 copies of Defiance, 3 copies of Turn and Tide, which are, energy resource events. And we have 3 copies of Make the Call, another 0 cost event, and 3 copies of Call for Aid here, another 0 cost event. So this just really wanted to lean completely into what Wonderman does best and just like going all in on that. And I had so much more fun playing this type of build with Wonderman, where basically you're just playing so many events. You have 20 events here in the deck, and the cost curve is super duper low. We have, 15 cards that are 0 cost to play, and 14 cards that are 1 cost to play. So every single turn, you're playing a lot, you're doing a lot. I love decks where you're doing that. I want to do a lot during my turns. So you're doing that, and you're easily getting your full, 3 tuck cards on the Ionic Physiology. Then when that happens, you just want to basic attack every single time that you get the 3 tuck cards because you want to unleash. You're doing 4 damage, which is very high tempo. You want to attack the villain, hopefully. If not, then you just like defeat a minion or something like that. And then you're forced to discard all your tuck cards, but that's okay because you just play more events and tuck them back in and hopefully heal 3 damage immediately right back up. So you're just constantly playing events, tucking them, attacking, facing attacks to the face back, and you're healing all that damage up with your Ionic Physiology. And one of my favorite cards with this build is Defiance. I think Defiance is super duper fun with Wonderman, even outside protection, because you can include protection events with that particular energy resource. 0 cost event. Here interrupt defense. When a boost card on enemy attacking you will be turned face up, you discard instead. This gives such a huge tempo swing to Wonderman for a 0 cost event during the villain phase. Whoa, Sesame is jumping in here. Okay, so let's say we're facing Rhino, for example. Okay, so Rhino, he has 1 scheme to attack the OG villain from the core set. So let's say Rhino is attacking you, and then he gets a boost card, and you play Defiance. Let's say the boost card would have been 3, like the best case scenario to a Defiance that card out, right? So Rhino would have hit for 2+3, which is 5 damage on Wonderman. But if you play a Defiance here, you discard that boost card before it's turned face up. You get to tuck this card underneath the Ionic Physiology, so you heal a damage, and then Rhino here, he's going to hit you for 2. So since you heal the damage, he's basically hitting you for 1. So that turned a 5 damage swing into a just 1 damage swing. That's like a 4, damage difference, which feels insane. Oh, Sesame is coming back behind a laptop. Hopefully she doesn't move the laptop there. But yeah, I mean it's a 4 damage swing, which feels insanely powerful for a 0 cost event. And obviously, it could just be a 1 damage swing, right? If the boost is 0, but it's nice to just get rid of the boost card to not worry about it, so you can calculate damage. You can actually let the villain hit you and not block with the ally. And it's just very, very high tempo because you just take the attacks to the face and keep on rolling with the damage. So yeah, I really like this card with Wonderman. It's tons of fun. And yeah, this deck revolves around being very, very high tempo. There's not a lot of upgrades and supports here. We're just going super low to the ground. And we want the player size games because Wonderman storing is crazy with this active altruism here to, ping off so much threat, especially with Mr. Hollywood. Clear out the side schemes, just call out the cards that we want versus actually paying the costs for our more expensive cards. But Wonderman has the flexibility for that because of the energy siphon here, which is his resource card, which can generate potentially 4 resources, but only 1 if you only needs to be 1, right? So super duper low to the ground, and this really made me feel free whenever I'm playing Wonderman. And yeah, this made me just completely fall in love with this kid. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of Wonderman. He is super duper fun playing him, leaning into his hero ability and recycling cards over and over again. Just trying to unleash, attack, play events, tuck back in, and recycle, right? I think that is my personal favorite way to play this hero. And playing him this way, I now enjoy Wonderman more than Hercules because, I was more excited for Wonderman whenever they're both announced. But then after playing them, I enjoyed Hercules more. And then after playing, Wonderman in a more free energy type of way, I'm back on Team Wonderman. He is super duper fun. I almost want to say he is S tier level fun, but I do find him a little bit restrictive in the deck building process, right? And I feel like you just kind of have to, at least me, I have to lean into his hero ability and recycle cards to really have a lot of fun playing Wonderman. So for me, how fun do I think he is? He's an A tier level for me. I think he's definitely one of my like top 15 favorite heroes to play in Marvel Champions, but I really just enjoy playing in the deck where I am recycling the events and leaning into that and not necessarily like doing any other stuff with like, with hoarding a bunch of attack or leaning more into like, readies or stuff like that. I really just want to, fill up, max up on the iron physiology, let it all go, let all the energy out, and then tuck immediately back in and rinse and repeat. And that's my favorite play style with Wonderman. So yeah, he is a very fun hero for me. Not my top five, but yeah, I enjoy playing him a lot. So yeah, that's how much I enjoy Wonderman. Before we go over to the power ranking here for Wonderman, I do want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Crazy Jackalope Games. They are a mom and pop shop, and they have the Wonderman and Hercules hero packs for the cheapest price that I've ever seen anyone have it, guys. It is $17 for either pack. So let's go over to Wonderman here, and if you you guys can add to cart, and then we can view cart here. I also have a coupon code with them, so you type Web Warrior at checkout. You can apply the coupon and get 5% off any Marvel Champions related order or like the sleeves as well, because I know you guys love giant shoe sleeves, so they have that on the website. So this is only $16.15 for either the Wonder Man or Hercules hero packs or both. And if you are waiting to get these packs, guys, I would recommend getting them right now because they are both super duper fun. Marvel Champions right now is like at a peak in terms of their design, just amazing designs. And yeah, get it before they all sell out. But yeah, huge shout out to Crazy Jackalope Games for sponsoring the channel here and just providing super duper low prices for the Wonder Man and Hercules and just these new packs here. So yeah, huge shout out to them. Thank you so much to Crazy Jackalope Games. Okay, let's go ahead and jump back over here to Wonder Man, and we'll talk about his power ranking. So I started doing this with the Hercules power ranking. Basically, I have 5 major categories that I think are the most important whenever you're playing a hero Marvel Champs in terms of how strong they are. And that's going to be their thwarting, attacking, survivability, economy, and versatility. And each one of these big major categories has 3 smaller subcategories. So I'll explain why they're important in the description of this video because I explain it a lot for the other hero reviews, and a lot of people have told me that they don't like it, that I'm constantly repeating that over and over again because it's taking a lot of time in the video. So I just have all that in the description. If you're curious why I think, for example, like the Statline is important for thwarting, I'll have that all in the description of this video, why this is important for thwarting, why this is important for thwarting, and so on. But we just talk about each individual stat line and why Wonderman gets a check mark or is missing a check mark for a certain category in the actual video here. So, okay, the first major category is going to be the thwarting. So, stat line. What is Wonderman's stat line? Does he have a good thwart stat? And what we're looking for here is just a thwart stat of 2 or higher. If you get at least 2, you get a check mark in this box. It's very important to have the initial, good thwarting stat to, thwart off threat from the main scheme or like from initial side scheme that start off in play. So Wonderman definitely gets a check mark for that. Easy and simple there. Then it's going to be the control here. So Wonderman does not have a check mark for control. For control, does Wonderman have a way to flip down to alter ego safely? This can be through like confusing the villain, mitigating threat, or anything like that. And Wonderman does not, unfortunately. He has to just hard flip down, and the villain may scheme at Thor, like do whatever they want to do, and there's no really way to prevent that. And some villains have a lot of pressure with that, so Wonderman can have difficulty flipping down against villains like that. I do want to add that he does have a card that kind of fits in his category that kind of allows him to do that, and it's going to be his 2-cost upgrade here called What Are You? So it's a 2-cost upgrade. I really love the flair on this upgrade here. So you just place it on the table, and as a force interrupt, when Wonderman would be defeated, you set his hit point down to 4, you change into alter ego form, and you may tuck the events with a printed energy resource from your discard pile underneath the ion physiology until there's that 3 max tuck cards there. Then you must remove this card from the game. So where this works is that you do get to change the alter ego for free and immediately flip back up to hero form, during your phase, but you can like exhaust recover or like use whatever alter ego actions that you want to use. So this card does allow you to do that, but I'm not going to give him a check mark for that, for the control, because you only can use this one time, and it's only whenever you die, right? So, like, if you're not dying when you won't get defeated, you can't just trigger this, whenever you want, willy-nilly. You have to actually, like, take so much damage where you're almost dead, and you go back up to 4 life. And then I do want to add with this card, though, it's so, so good. It's one of the better, like, revival cards in Marvel Champions, and I love using this for a big final push, because the way that Wonderman works is that with his sunglasses and with his Wonder Fans here, his alter ego action cards, he can actually dictate what events goes under the Ionic Physiology, and you can grab those events from the Ionic Physiology if they're tucked here to your hand if you can access your alter ego and flip back up to hero form. So the what are you allows you to kind of like manipulate and have your specific big attack events that you want to defeat the villain. So you can force yourself to like get like a big Ionic Blast or like Starstruck, for example. You can tuck it underneath the Ionic Physiology from your discard pile, with the what are you. Then when you flip up, you can add those, to your hand and just play them and then go for a big final push. So I've really enjoy using this for like a big final push. And I'll purposely, like, the turn that I'm about to kill the villain, during the villain phase, I'll let them kill me so that I could trigger this, flip down for free, have use, like, for example, I could use like Wonder Fans here to like tuck a card or draw a card for economy. And when I flip up to hero form, I use the sunglasses and then add a card tucked under the Iron Physiology to my hand that I just tucked with the what are you, right? So huge combo there for helping Wonderman make a big final push. Unfortunately, though, that's kind of a side tangent. He does not get a check mark for his control here. Finally, it's going to be the cards. Does he have good thwarting cards? And he definitely does. I mean, the active altruism is just bonkers, guys. It's a 0 cost event that removes 1 threat, which is, okay. But if you pay just 1 resource for it, it's effectively a 1 cost card that can remove 3 threat, which is, not the best thing. But whenever you get Mr. Hollywood down, I mean, it just makes it 0 cost again, right? So you 0 cost to remove 3 threat. It's insane. He has 3 copies of it, which is really nice to have. And I mean, it can easily be a potentially, like, ineffectively 1 cost to remove 5 threat, because if you have Mr. Hollywood down, you get 1 overpay for free. You just got to overpay 1 more. And then you're taking off, 1 plus 2 plus 2, which is 5 threats. So yeah, Wonderman's thwarting is really good. He has that one of the best thwart events, I think, for an identity specific card for a hero. So yeah, that's super very good. So Wonderman's overall score for thwarting is 2 out of 3. I will say this, he gets a score of 2 out of 3, but his actual thwarting is insane. His thwarting, you can almost say like this should have an asterisk. Like, he is one of the more thwartier heroes in Marvel Champions. But for me, I do attribute threat mitigation and control as a part of thwarting. So I'm not going to give him a check mark here, but you could definitely make the case that he deserves that, because he is one of the more thwarty heroes, even though he's lacking any type of like control to like flip down. I think that is a huge part of, mitigating threat and just controlling, threat, which to me contributes to authority. But you definitely make the case here for an asterisk or even like a 3 out of 3, just bypassing, not giving a check mark here. But yeah, having the control would be very nice. The next major category that we're talking about for Wonderman is his attacking ability. And the first subcategory for attacking is going to be burst damage. So does Wonderman have burst damage? He definitely has really good burst damage, because late game, whenever you need that burst damage, you can just make sure that you can save 3 tuck cards on the Ionic Physiology. So he'll have 4 attack with his base attack, and if you play Ionic Blast and you have Mr. Hollywood down, this already does 5 damage for 1 cost. You overpay for 1 more time, it's going to be 2 for 7 damage or 3 for 9 damage, which is above the 3 for 8 curve. And then if you have a Starstruck as well, you can play a Starstruck first before you use your base attack to do 4 damage for just 1 cost. So you can play Ionic Blast. That's 18 damage right there. Play a Starstruck, 22 damage, make a basic attack for a total of 26 damage in 1 turn for not a lot of resources there. So yeah, Wonderman definitely has a lot of burst damage in his kit, so he gets a check mark for that. Next would be the small instance of damage, and I do attribute stuff like piercing to this category, right? Because if an enemy has like a tough, like a minion having a tough, you want to be able to knock out the tough and still be able to defeat the enemy. And you just want to be able to deal with minions in general. And Wonderman, okay, this might be a hot take. I did not give him a check mark here for his instance of damage. I think he has small instance of damage on paper, but my reviews are about how you actually play the hero and how they feel in the practical sense. and I don't think that Wonderman has small instant damage whenever you're actually playing him. And he has some restrictions that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So the first thing is you have to make a basic attack oftentimes for your like small instant damage. And one advanced basic attack unleashes the Ionic Physiology, which means you lose all your tuck cards there. So that can be a little bit restrictive, especially if the min has like a tough, right? And then here you have the Ionic Blast and the Starstruck, but this is based on your attack stats. So if you have only an attack of 1, the Starstruck only does 1 damage, which is really bad for that. The Ionic Blast is very good though. The Ionic Blast helps you scale your attack, so you can do like only 3 damage if you want, or do, you know, +2, so 5 or 7, right? So this card is very good for it, but he has 2 copies of this card in his kit. If he had like 1 more, I'll probably lean it over and give it to him, like give him the point. But because only 2 here, I think it's a little bit more restricted than what I want, and I do feel like toughs on minions are a little bit difficult for one man to deal with by himself. Now, don't get me wrong, you can easily just have allies deal with that, and that's definitely a fine way to do that. You know, for heroes that don't have, you know, this checkmark here, I always just have allies deal with the problem, which Wonderman can also do. But we're talking about just his hero kit, and with just his hero kit alone, he doesn't have that himself. So let me paint this scenario for you guys. So let's say you have a minion that has like, you know, 4 hit points, so like a pretty small minion, 4 hit points, and have a tough status card, which a lot of minions do have a tough, especially the newer minions. They've been having a lot more toughs lately. So let's say you have that minion, right? And you have 3 tuck cards under the Ionic Physiology. So you have, you know, 4 attack. Well, okay. Let's say the only card in your hand is an Ionic Blast, right? So you have Ionic Blast and you have your 4 attack. So that minion there with the tough feels kind of rough to deal with because your choices are you can either, you know, play Ionic Blast, so you do 3 damage just to knock off a tough, and then you basic attack to swing for 4 to defeat the minion, which does feel nice, or you basic attack, swing for 4, and then like you can play an Ionic Blast and then overpay for it to get +2 damage to do 5 damage to defeat the minion, right? So either way, you're wasting a lot of damage on a tough, which doesn't feel that good. And let me give you guys a worse scenario, right? So that's kind of like a better case to have that Ionic Blast in hand, but you don't have 2 copies of this card. So let's say you have the Starstruck instead. So if you have a Starstruck in your hand and you have that exact same, you know, 4 hit point min with a tough stats card, you have to play the Starstruck first, right? Because let's say if you attack first to knock off the tough, Starstruck now only deals 1 damage because your attack is now 1. So you have to play a Starstruck to knock off a tough from a minion, dealing 4 damage to it if you have the full attack cards. And you are wasting the overpay, right? You don't want to overpay. You just, you know, pay for the cost here because you're wasting the potential to stun an enemy because you have this really powerful stun effect here if you can overpay for the card, but you don't want to do that because you're just using it to knock off a tough that you're going to defeat that enemy anyways, right? So you just pay 1 cost, do 4 damage, knock out a tough, and you basically attack, do 4 damage to the minion, and you lose all your tough cards. So there's a lot of like clunkiness there with dealing with the minion, especially if the minion is like a 5 hit point minion with a tough stats card. It makes it even more annoying to deal with. And I just don't think that Wonderman has enough of these small instances to deal with that, other than just literally drawing up his attack events, right? If he had a way to give his basic attacks piercing, or if he had a more consistent way to ready, like an on-demand ready, or like an on-demand upgrade that like deals 1 damage, that would, like any of that would be enough for that, right? Like Iron Man, for example, he has his arc reactor, which can just ready him back up for him to make the basic attack for just 1 damage. Iron Man also has his power gauntlets, which he can, you know, just exhaust to do 1 or 2 damage to enemy, right? So he has a lot of on-demand ways to do that, and Wonder Man needs to draw into like 1 or 2 or 3 attack events to really have enough small instances of damage. And if at the time where you need the damage, you don't have the 3 tech cards under the Ionic Physiology, that could be annoying as well because sure, you can cover this with your aspect cards, right? Or by playing a bunch of events with the energy resource icon, so you can tuck it here. But while you're doing that, you're trying to focus to build out the tech cards here, and you get your attack up to 4. Can you deal with that minion with your attack there? It's not guaranteed because you don't have piercing if the minion has a tough, and if you need to do more than 4 damage, you can't take care of the minion, you know, with that solely, right? So you're doing all this other stuff for like the other boards, say like side schemes, you know, with whatever, like you're playing these other events, but then you're not focusing on, you know, the minion solely in that turn. Well, you may have to actually do that to get rid of, you know, that nasty minion with like a tub or something like that. So yeah, for me personally, my personal experience playing Wonderman, he does not have small instant damage. He's Very, very, very close, but just a little bit lacking there for me to give him a check mark in that category. And then finally, it's going to be the cost of his attack events. Can he easily afford them? Wonderman easily can. Probably one of the best in the game because of the flexibility for the Ionic Blast to scale as well, right? So you can just pay one cost to do 3 damage, or pay 2 costs, do 5 damage, 3 for 7 or 4 for 9, or reduce all those costs by 1 if you have Mr. Hollywood, which you definitely want to play Mr. Hollywood every single game. This card is always coming down. Wonderman needs this card to really pop off and do his thing. So yeah, with this card, this card right here becomes either, 1 for 5, 2 for 7, or 3 for 9, which is very, very good. It has a bunch of events right here that are all 1 cost to Star Shrugs. So of course he'll get a check mark for here because he can very easily pay for all of his attacks. Okay, next would be Wonderman's strongest major category in my opinion, which is his survivability. I think that he is a monster in survivability. So the first subcategory is going to be the identity card. Does he have survivability printed on his identity card? And yeah, he does, because he has 12 hit points, which is above average. But also, this is an extension of the identity card, because the reason why the identity card is important is because you want it to have, you want it to just be on the table for you. And the Iron Physiology is on the table on turn 1. So as long as you play any events with the print energy, Wonderman already starts healing. So you don't need any other, cards to be in play. And you have a bunch of these energy resource events. It can be a Thwart event, it can be the attack event, or any other aspect cards you add in his kit. When you play them, you heal damage. So here's a very easy way to heal in hero form, in addition to having extra hit points as well. So he definitely has, above average survivability on his identity card, and he in general just feels super duper tanky. Next would be the cards in his kit to add to his survivability. He definitely has cards adding there as well. We already talked about it before, but it's going to be the what are you right here, right? It says like revival card. That's super duper good to just get like a free, to just have the flexibility to play very, very recklessly, take a bunch of damage to the face, drop down like 1 life, and or drop down to let's say 3 life, for example, right? And let's say the villain is like Rhino, so he's like 2 attack. You can risk seeing his boost card, and if it's like a boost of 0, you can just take it to the face. And if it would kill you, then you can trigger the what are you instead, right? But if it doesn't kill you, then wow, that's crazy. You got so much tempo by allowing the villain to hit you, even though you only had 3 life left. So that just feels very, very nice. So yeah, he definitely gets a check mark here for the cards added to his survivability. Finally, is going to be healing. Does he have healing in his kit? And we already talked about it. He doesn't have any other healing, like an alter ego action or something like that, but he does have the Ionic Physiology, which just adds more value to it because it's a permanent upgrade that you already get on turn 1. And each time you play an energy resource event, you get to heal 1. This can add up so much throughout the course of a game. You can heal like 20, 30 damage in 1 game if you're playing enough events. So that just feels insane. He can stay up in hero form for like the entirety of a game, if not like the majority of the game, just because of this card right here. So he definitely has a lot of healing in hero form. He doesn't have to flip down to exhaust a heal if he doesn't want to. So yeah, Wonderman, one of the most tanky heroes in Marvel Champions, gets a full score of 3 out of 3 for his survivability. The next major category is going to be the economy for Wonderman. And the first subcategory of that is going to be the identity card. Once again, you want to have that on your identity card so you can use something on turn 1 to get like a boost and like automatically play more cards. Wonderman does not have anything like that, right? He does have your standard 6-card hand size alter ego, 5-card hand size in hero form, but nothing here adds economy for you or generates resources. Same for the hero side of the card, nothing really adding much to that. So he will not get a check mark here for his identity card adding to his economy. Next would be cards in his kit adding to economy, and that's going to be like a resource generator or like double resources, triple resources. And Wonderman, he's got both, right? So let's look at the least weighted one for that, which is going to be Wonder Fans. So this card, it's a 1-cost support. You can only use it in alter ego though, but you can draw a card for 1 cost. That's already pretty decent. If it was just this card, I probably would not give him a check mark for the cards adding to his economy, but he's got the jet belt as well. So it's a 2-cost upgrade. Hero resource, exhaust the jet belt, generate an energy resource for an event. That's really good for paying for his events, but also you can exhaust the jet belt and his card, tuck card on the Ion Physiology, generate an energy resource for anything. So this jet belt right here is a universal resource generator, but also a free resource generator for events. So you have the versatility to do whatever you want with that. And you can also use this effect to discard tuck cards. If for whatever reason you want to tuck a specific new card, yeah, you can do that with that. Or if you need some healing as well, right? Because if you do have the full 3 tuck cards here, then you cannot tuck anymore, so you cannot heal. So you want to be able to sometimes free it up, and this is a way to do that without using your basic attack to remove all of them. So Jet Belt, a lot of versatility and just a very solid resource generator. And of course we have, Mr. Hollywood here. We talk about this all the time. It's the best card in his kit. Generate an energy resource to overpay for a card. Yeah, this is not like a straight up resource generator, right? It's only for overpaying for cards. But throughout the course of a game, this will generate way more resources than like this or like anything else like a Quinn carrier, because this thing here can be activated multiple times per turn. And yeah, this can just really ramp up and just make his kit feel so much more cheap and more smooth. Next, we also have Wonderman's signature sunglasses. Wonderman's got a lot of cards to add to his economy. It's a 1-cost upgrade. And after you change form, so this can be from alter ego to hero form or hero to alter ego form, you can choose one of the effects, either tuck an event or a resource card with a printed energy from the discard pile underneath the Ionic Physiology. That's fine. I usually use the second one. You can add a tuck card from the Ionic Physiology to your hand. So at worst, you can just add a tuck card to your hand and you get +1 to your hand size that you can spend as a resource. Most of the time though, I'm usually playing that card because it's a card that I can really choose what I want to add to my hand. So if I need thwarting, I add a thwart event. If I need attacking, I can add like an attack event. So very, very good effect there. It adds to the economy, but also like helps you do whatever you need to do and just provide consistency to how Wonderman wants to play. And then finally, of course, he's got the energy siphon here. This is one of the best resource cards in the game of Marvel Champions because it's so flexible. He has 2 copies of this card in his kit. Here, interrupt. When you spend this card, take up to 3 damage. This card generates 1 additional energy resource for each damage taken this way. So it's already a printed energy here. So at worst, you just spend it for 1 energy resource, which is completely fine. Then if you take 1 damage, you generate an additional energy. So you take 1 damage, it's a double resource. If you take 2 damage, it's a triple resource. You can take up to 3. You take 3 damage, it is a quadra resource. You can just play an Avengers Mansion or a Nick Fury down. Guys, bonkers, bonkers, bonkers. And the fact that Wonderman heals so much with the Ionic Physiology, it's like the perfect card for him. So yeah, I really, really like this card. Very good, resource card. In addition to all these cards adding economy for him as well. So yeah, I mean, if I could give like a checkmark plus, I definitely would. He has a lot of cards in the kit that add to his economy. Finally, it's going to be the cost curve of Wonderman's cards. Does he have generally a affordable cost curve for himself? And he does. He has an even cheaper cost curve than what he would need to pay for, because we looked at like my deck there, just showing off like the cost curve, and I mean just super duper cheap cards, right? Most of the cards in his kit are already super duper low costed. So yeah, 2 cost, 1 cost, 2 cost, 1 cost, a resource card, all the 1-cost events and all the 0-cost events here. So I mean, yeah, Wonderman is one of the cheapest heroes in Marvel Champions, probably because of the overpaying mechanic where you get more value whenever you overpay. But it doesn't even matter, right? Because everything is just so cheap at bare bones anyways, and the overpay with Mr. Hollywood just keeps it at that cost. So very, very cheap cost curve for him. So if you're looking for like a very cheap hero that can do a lot and play a lot of cards, Wonderman is that guy. Finally, the 5th major category that I evaluate whenever I look at a hero is going to be their versatility. And Wonderman surprisingly only got a score of 1 out of 3 for his versatility here. And yeah, I don't know. There's a reason for that. And it's going to be the in-game versatility. This is kind of going to be a weird one here. So Wonderman, I feel like I don't necessarily think that he's streamlined. I do think that he wants to do what he wants to do, which is like recycle the cards. But I don't think that he's forced to play that way. But no matter which way that you play Wonderman, he still needs to focus on the overpay mechanic. So, like, if you don't get Mr. Hollywood down, Wonderman is just not going to be fun and it's not going to be very good. This card is essential to his kit. And if this card, for some whatever reason, is like removed in the game, like Nebula, the villain can, her recommended modules can remove cards like those space pirates. They can remove cards from your deck. I know the Sentinel, the Project Waterway scenario can also do that. If this card, for whatever reason, is like stolen from you and just like you can't play it, Wonderman's whole kit, I don't want to say shuts down, but he feels like a very lackluster hero. He really needs a Mr. Hollywood to like do his thing. And I feel like because of that, he's lacking some in-game versatility. It's about getting that out. And then once you get that out, you can overpay and do a lot of cool things. but it's really contingent on that, right? I don't know, it's like, I would say with any hero in the game, this may be the most important upgrade. The closest one is, I would say, Quicksilver and its friction resistance. But I mean, I okay, probably friction resistance is more important for Quicksilver than Mr. Hollywood is for Wonderman, but it's pretty close. Like Wonderman just really needs this, right? Because the overpaying stuff, you don't get the overpay for all these cards here, and without the overpay, they aren't efficient anymore. They're under curve, right? They're more expensive than what they would be. You really, really, really want to get Mr. Hollywood down. And because of that reasoning, I just feel like he's just, I don't know, he doesn't have as much in-game versatility as I would like. And because of this thing right here with the power cycling, you basically can't make basic attacks, right? Each time you make a basic attack, you have to lose all your attack cards. So you can't really dictate when you're making the basic attack. So that's why I like to play him in a free energy build where I'm just constantly tucking everything back up, and then I can just attack and unleash every single turn, right? Because I don't really care, because I want to just attack every single turn. But if you're trying to save your attack for something, it may not work out the way that you want to. If you get like a minion that like you have to just blow up on, you may have to just use your basic attack. So you're kind of forced to do that, and you lose all your attack cards if you want to keep them, right? So I just feel like the puzzle of like wanting to keep the attack cards, or like needing to attack, or needing to play Mr. Hollywood kind of restricts him and does not make him feel like he has an in-game versatility. So you could definitely make the case of giving a check mark here. I'm not going to complain if you guys disagree with that. I could definitely see that. It's just me personally, I think that he does not have this. And there are definitely decks that you can play that gives him more of this than other decks. But that's not really the hero himself, right? He does have a puzzle that you need to play around in order to make him work. I think that's the best way to describe, right? He is a puzzle in himself, and you need to play around that. That being said, the puzzle is amazing. I love the puzzle, and it's super duper fun. And I would prefer to have the puzzle than not have the puzzle, right? So I think it's a great design choice, but it is a little bit lower in the power ranking in terms of how I value hero, right? So once again, this does not take away enjoyment for him. I actually prefer that he's missing the check mark here because I like that puzzle Wonder Man. But yeah, a little bit restricted there. And then also, you can only have a max of 3 tuck cards underneath the Ion Physiology. So like that can also be restricted if you need to heal and you're already exhausted and you can't get rid of a tuck card here because maybe you don't have like the jet belt down or you're already exhausted, right? Then it can be like kind of like annoying, like, oh, I really want to heal, but I can't because I'm already exhausted and I already have the full 3 tuck cards. So he does have, quite a few restrictions in his kit. Once again, it's a puzzle, a very, very fun puzzle, but the puzzle does make him weaker because you feel restricted in how you want to play him. So unfortunately, he does not get a check mark for that. Next would be the cancels for his versatility. And I think it's just super important to have cancels in the kit because it allows you a lot of breathing room to flip down to play more recklessly. And Wonderman has no way to cancel encounter cards in his kit. So very simply, he does not get a check mark for that. Finally, it's going to be aspect versatility. This one is not as important to me, but I know a lot of players do value this a lot. And Wonderman easily gets a check mark for this because it doesn't matter which aspect you play him in. You can still include, outer aspect cards as long as they have that energy resource icon. So playing him in leadership, you can include protection cards, you can include justice cards. So just having that already gives him versatility across every single aspect. But in addition to that, he does have very good synergy in every aspect, right? With leadership here, he has a lot of good synergy because Clarity Purpose is just a great card for him. You can take damage, generate a wall resource on top of that. Leadership just really works well with almost every single hero in the game. Even Hercules, who's like normally a hero that you don't even want allies, but there's so many cool things you can do with allies to buff up Hercules or like to ready him that even he works really, really well in leadership. Wonderman can, thwart very heavily, in justice with like, more justice type stuff. Adding to his amazing throw with like active altruism, you can get more bonus effects from removing threat, like with the turn of tide here, where you can, after you remove all threat, you can do 3 damage to enemy. Players side team synergy with that as well. In justice, he can play very well in aggression with a brute force type of deck, just building up that attack stat and just synergizing off of that, and then just doing tons of damage in that final push because you can play a bunch of Starstrucks, play all 3 of them if you can draw all 3 of them for 9 times 3, 27 damage, and attack for another 9 with your basic activation. So that's like 36 damage in 1 turn. He can play very well in protection as well with all the aerial stuff that he's got going on, and just every vision is a great protection aerial card too. So yeah, you can do repurpose. There's so many things I want to make him do in every single aspect. So he definitely gets a check mark there. So this is my overall chart here for Wonderman. And for most heroes that's missing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 check marks, I give them an evaluation of an A tier. And I do think that Wonderman sits very comfortably in A tier. I think that he is a strong hero, one of the more powerful heroes in Marvel Champions, but not top tier in terms of like being an S tier, like overpowered hero. He might struggle into some scenarios. He does need certain cards to really unleash, and he does have a lot of a puzzle mechanic to him where you really want to play around the puzzle and figure him out in order to maximize how he wants to play. He's not here that you just start playing and you're like, okay, this guy is just super duper awesome. You want to get in a groove of playing him and just getting his effects off. And, you know, there were a lot of check marks that you could have argued for him. I think maybe I was a little bit harsh here. So if you give him a check mark here, he's still missing 4 check marks. So I would still give him an evaluation of A tier. If you want to give him the check mark for thwarting, just because his thwarting is like very, very good, you know, he would still be missing, you know, the 4 other check marks. If you want to give him a check mark here for the attacking, like having small instances of damage, he would still have the other, you know, 4 check marks. I don't think it's fair to give him all the check marks for those categories, right? Because at the end of the day, like, they're all kind of like asterisks. Like, he doesn't have that like straight up. It's kind of like you could argue for it. So either way, I think that he is a solid A tier hero. Very, very fun. Very, very powerful, but like not like game breaking, which I think is good. I think having like a solid A tier hero in the game is very good. So yeah, that is my evaluation for Wonderman, and that is my review of this hero. Let me know, guys, down in the comments, what you guys thought about this hero. Do you guys agree with my takes? What did you disagree with? And yeah, are you enjoying Wonderman? I think that, I mean, if this is any indication of what the future heroes would be, like Daredevil, who's coming out very soon, I gotta say, Marvel Champions, guys, is gonna go crazy because I love this hero so much. If Wonderman was like a hero that I knew more like in the comics, I probably would like, he might be like S tier for me. I don't know, because you know I'm very biased. If there's a hero that I know and love more, I enjoy them more, so they'll be like higher up in like how much I like them, even if their mechanics aren't as good. But I mean, I think I'm pretty objective with like how I power rank. So even if Wonderman was a character I liked a lot, I think I would still give him an A tier evaluation. It's just really the fun evaluation would go even higher up for me. But I do really enjoy playing Wonderman. And if you've seen the Wonderman series on Disney Plus, let me know down in the comments if you've been enjoying that. I really like that series, guys. All right, that is it for this video, guys. Let me know if you also like this new format that I'm doing with the hero reviews, where I talk more about how much I actually enjoy the heroes instead of just going like objectively with their power ranking. But yeah, I'm just trying some new stuff out here, and hopefully you guys like this type of video. I'll see you guys all in the next one.